So after a couple days of testing with CRUST, I think it's time we talk a little bit about her final position on the tier list, where she is right now in my opinion, and how I would be going about building her. As usual, before we start, hello Dinerates, welcome back to the Waifus. I am Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. Thank you to all my patrons. You can join them with the links in the description down below or with YouTube memberships. And let's get started with the CRUST review and where she's on the tier list. We can do tier list first and then talk a little bit about why all of those things, so that's easier to go through. So TLDR, if you don't want to watch the whole video, she is on a similar situation to Trina as of right now. Her buffs alone, even considering everything out of her niche, makes her a good enough B2 for new players or people who are lacking characters to actually use her. Outside of those niche, however, it's really hard justifying pulling for her if you are the one player or if you already have multiple teams built. Still, this is good. This is a good problem to have. I think I've said this multiple times, but we're at the point where the last really bad character we got was back here in November 2024 with Flora, because Guillo still has use for elemental content. You can use it for elemental content. It's not amazing, but you probably saw her on the previous raid doing a lot of damage from the people who actually built her. So when it comes to like the actual last really bad banner we got, it was Flora and it was Rumani, October and November. So this is a good problem to have. We've been getting niche but great characters. I'm happy with that, zero complaints. The problem comes when we are getting, I will always put the same example because sadly it is what it is. Clay and Bay are the prime example of what NIKKE units used to look, right? Now it's a lot better, so that's pretty good. Now that said, let's talk a little bit about why she's on T2 and not on T1, for example, right? But again, it's just because of her niche are making her a lot more limited in contrast to other characters. That said, she has 2 flags as of right now. I added a new flag to the website, one for manual play, which is this one right here, and one of course for paired with sustain and or distribute damage dealers in the same team. Those are her 2 flags, and let's go a little bit over the build. There is 2 things, first of all, that is important on her skills to understand. A 447, you could be going to level 10, which is a big if already, but you could be going to level 10 depending on how much you like her. But going any higher than 447 or 10, it's not really worth it. The biggest problem she has, and we'll see this on the cons, is that her skills scale only 1% per each level you actually put in. We're talking from level 4 to level 10, it's like a 6-7% increase in total you are getting, which is not worth it. Same for the skill 2. The only case where her scaling is a little bit better, and that's why you could be going to level 10, it's on her burst when we're talking about the distribute damage, because it can go to all the way up to 60%. Also, side note, but I finally got class yesterday with a multi from the event shop, so we are safe for anniversary to use our tickets there. 1700 tickets, we should be good. I would prefer not to use them, but we'll see what's going on. That said, let's move into her build after the skills. Her build is pretty simple. There is 2 things, right? First of all, cube. Doesn't really matter, I'm gonna be honest. Resilience or Bastion is gonna be good as usual. Charge speed cube, I just don't recommend it. For the most part, there is like a few situations where it's gonna be like a great alternative to any of these 2. And then for overload, low priority to overload her, like really low priority. Max ammunition capacity, charge speed, like that's like the seeable lines, just so she can keep shooting and maintain her buffs. She has no issue sustaining her buffs even without overload, but just to be sure, better safe than sorry. Max ammo capacity is like the most important line you can get. The rest, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't bother going for or rerolling for elemental damage. She's not a DPS, so it's kind of like a wasted rocks in my opinion. When it comes to her pros, pretty cheap to build, right? Because her skill scaling is awful, so 447, this is a pro and a con. She's a great support for both wind and water. SBS, it's kinda copium. She's not like an amazing support for SBS, but it's still extra distribute damage that you are getting. It's just that she's way better right now on water for both Quincy and Breedy. Mostly Breedy, by the way. And then even outside of her niche, she's still a decent B2 character providing both attack and attack damage. The attack and attack damage is enough to justify putting her high on the tier list, a T2, a good unit. And also, like I was saying earlier, if you don't have anything else, like if you don't have any other B2s as of right now from the meta team compositions, she's great. This is a matter of your personal account right now and with your situation on how many characters you have. And then lastly, her cons, right? The biggest one is that she requires manual play. It's like you have to manual her. If you don't manual her, you basically are only getting 20% attack damage, a little bit less. Level 7 is like 17 or whatever it is, and like 20 something attack. which is still great. It's still good buffs. That alone, the attack damage buff alone is good enough to warrant her being a good unit. That's how powerful attack damage buffs are right now. We're getting so much attack from other sources that attack damage buffs keep being super valuable, and that's how Shift Up is making these characters being actually decent. Just by slapping some attack damage in there, and you're good to go. Still, it is good. The amount of characters she can really buff right now are pretty low at the moment because both is treated and sustain is pretty scarce, and in fact, sustain damage types. There is no reason to use it on a sustain team right now. Your only option would be good option, right? What? Sakura, and even Sakura or Mana are not that great characters. Like, as main DPSs, we're talking, right? Considering you can be building other teams around them. But still, it's an option if you have nothing else. And then, like I was saying earlier, skill scaling is really like one of the worst ones in the game, considering it's like a 1% per skill outside of the distribute damage. So all that, in my opinion, puts her at the T2 right now, which is still a good unit. Something you could be using if you have nothing else. Something personally, I don't see why you would need to pull, considering next is the anniversary. And most likely, right, as we have been seeing so far, everything points towards Siren as one of the characters for the anniversary. So I see no reasons to use a lot of resources there unless you are a collector and want to keep your Pokédex complete, right? Like it's my case, I like to have my Pokédex complete, so I usually will always try to get them, even if I don't think they are that useful. But for normal players, unless you like her, you can skip her completely, you're not missing much. That said though, I think that's gonna be it for this video, just a quick TLDR on where she is right now. And like I was saying, save your resources for anniversary, don't be bossos, alright? Don't be bossos like me, and save your resources for anniversary. Speaking of anniversary, remember that it's a 1% banner? Probably 2, right? I'm assuming we're getting 2 characters, no reason for a Shift Up to only make 1, but most likely it's 1% banners. So it's always better to ticket those banners. If you have tickets, you are way better off ticketing, unless you are a new player and you need to get other characters off banners. That's like the only reason. That said though, enough yapping. We'll make another video on anniversary talking more about this. That's gonna be for this one. We're gonna be live later as usual. Feel free to drop by links in the description. Good luck with your pool dinner rates. I'll see you in the next one.